Hello friends, welcome back to the shop. Yes, it still exists and it's doing great. What the are we doing?
We're making bar stools.
We're making bar stools. You guys loved the 3 ways video for the sawhorses so much, we're doing it again. This time though, we're gonna bring in the new guy, Jordan. And he's gonna do the DIY project. Should be awesome. So we're going bar stools on this one because why the hell not? And we're gonna do a little DIY. Sam's gonna hit that amateur, and then I'm coming in with some pro flavor that's gonna piss all of you off, just like my last one did. So let's get into it.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Jordan, the new guy. I do a little more than just run to the store for John and get stuff. I can actually build, I think. We'll see. But today I'm going to be doing the DIY version of the bar stool. Okay, so for this project, we're going to use some 2x4s and miter saw, drill, pocket hole jig, and some wood glue. Let's get into the build. Okay, so now I got my 2x4s broken down into my smaller pieces, into the legs, the seat, and all that stuff. What I'm gonna do now is rip it down to my length. So we're gonna do 1.5 by 1.5 inches. I'm using the big cabinet saw that we have here in the shop because that's what we have, but you can easily do this on a job site table saw or a circular saw if you really want it to. But this is what we have, so this is what I'm gonna use. Now we got everything ripped down to rough cut size. We're gonna head back to the miter saw and cut everything down to its final size, including the angles. Okay, now I have everything sanded, now it's time to assemble. So we're gonna take the top piece first, put that together using pocket holes and wood glue. Same with the bottom. We'll add our 2 sides, then we'll put them together. John, come check out my cool stool.
Took a whole day to make a 2x4 stool. I'm proud of you, buddy.
Because you just changed my plans. I was studying all night.
No.
Still look good?
Yeah, dude. I'm impressed. I'm not gonna sit on it. Really.
Jordan still has a weight limit. It's okay, mine probably will too.
Most of the chairs we make here.
So when John said that we were gonna go ahead and do the stool thing, it got to my brains to thinking, and I wanted to come up with something that was a little bit more artsy than just a typical kind of rectangular thing. So I wanted to do some angles, but I'm an idiot and I'm bad at math. So what I did was I made this fancy cardboard cutout. I took an old box that we had and I kind of drew out some shapes until I figured out what I wanted, and I cut this out. And so I'm gonna use this as a reference because I don't know what any of these angles are and I don't really care, but I can use this then to mark exactly what I want and make 2 of these for the sides of our stools. We'll have 2, put a top on it, and it's gonna be awesome. Let's go. Okay, so to start out, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna break down these 2x4s into smaller parts, and then I'm gonna mill them on the joiner and the planer and the table saw so that we can have nice square edges. Just kind of class things up a little bit so that we don't have the roundovers, and everything will be a nice uniform thickness, shape, all that kind of good stuff. So part of the reason I use this cardboard is, one, I wanted to kind of feel out how this shape would be before I went ahead and built it. And I can just lay this on here and just give myself a mark, and with no measuring, I can give myself 2 rough cut pieces for the 2 sides. No math. Now that we've got these parts roughed down to size, just a little bit oversized of what we actually need, we're gonna go ahead and square them up, get rid of those round corners and make them all nice and buttery and beautiful. And we're gonna do that with the help of these awesome Jet tools, the sponsor of this week's video. John's gonna explain more on that later. Let's just do it in some slow-mo. While John screams at the CNC over there, I know that some of you guys are already screaming at the computer, but Sam, you just used an industrial size planer. And I know that this is intermediate. It's the planer that we had. Whatever you guys got, whether it's a lunchbox, a block of sandpaper, John's judging me.
Listen, kids, if you don't like my tools, yell at me, not Sam. He's doing his best. You don't have to use big ass tools.
Or be like Jordan and get a job here and then you have all these tools.
That's why I work so hard. It looks slightly above average though. Good job.
That was a terrible high five. So now that we've got all the pieces rough cut to size, I cut the angles on the pieces that I knew based on the template. Now it's time to lay out some of the half lap joinery. So to do that, we're just going to clamp it together, mark both sides, and then we'll take it over to the table saw and we'll use a angled crosscut sled thingy, and it's going to be awesome. It's the next day. We got hungry last night, and when you're hungry and it's been a long day, you don't want to cut joinery, because just do it quick before you go home is how you get hurt or make mistakes, and we don't need either of those. So we're back now. We ate dinner and breakfast, and now we're getting back on this. So I'm looking at how to do the joinery for this leg now. And in my template, I've made this span 16 inches, but I'm concerned that it's a little wobbly. As far as like the final construction of it. So I'm going to spread out these legs to be 18. I don't think it's going to affect the design too much, but I left a little bit of room to be flexible there. I always like to cut my stuff long and then trim it down once I'm confident that I know what I'm doing, because I often don't. So we're going to go with 18, add a little bit extra width to that, hopefully make it a little more sturdy, still be awesome. We're going to cut some lap joints somehow in this, and it's going to be the best. Now that I've got these rough cut, I did some on the table saw, but it was kind of a sketchy angle for the leg part, so I ended up going to the circular saw, as you saw there. If you're not comfortable doing something, there's usually another way to do it that's less sketchy. So I kind of reverted back to my timber framing skills from the thing we did here, if you remember that awful experience. Hurry up! I'm trying! Jump off the fucking ladder! So now that I've got them roughed in, I'm going to go ahead and use John's fancy planes, and we're going to go ahead and get these shaped up, get everything dry fit, and then we got to put a stretcher on it, but then we got to cut the seat to size, sand everything, glue it all together, and then I think we drink beer, right? We have 2 bar stools then. Yeah. We're done. Yeah, beer. Let's do it. Okay, these are very, very close at this point. We're going to do a fit, and then might have to do just a little bit more planing just to kind of get the half laps to meet right. They're not perfect, but as I told Jordan yesterday, wabi sabi, the beauty and the imperfection. I think it's still gonna be pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with the way this one fits. Let's check the other one, and we will, I think, be ready for some glue. So I've let this glue set up for a little bit. It's still not great. I don't want to rely just on the glue. And of course, we have all these tools in the shop and we don't have like a 3/4 inch screw that I could put in and then plug. So what I'm gonna do is I've got some 1/4 inch, I think it's poplar dowel, and I'm just gonna do a nice layout of 4 holes per each joint, go all the way through it, glue, and then put that through, and that'll help just kind of lock everything together. Probably not the strongest method. I wish I had a thicker dowel, but we're making lemonade, as John would say. I guess he loves lemonade.
What do I love?
Lemonade.
I do.
He loves the lemonade, especially, and Jordan loves Chick-fil-A, so. All right, let's drill some holes. So these are plug cutters. They're supposed to be used with a drill press. If you're very careful, I think you can get away with doing it with a hand drill, but you don't get as great of results. So all this is gonna do is make a nice little circle that fits that same 3/8 diameter that we can then pound in over the screws and just add a little accent. I'm using Wenge because there's a piece here that we use for a different project, and why the hell not? But you could also use a matching wood or some other wood. It's a great way to accent a piece if you can't really hide the fasteners. You know, it's just a nice little detail instead of just something boring, because life's too boring to have color matched plugs.
All right, clowns, so the boys are done with their versions of the stools, and I gotta say, I wanna be proud of them, but I don't like showing feelings. I'm so proud. So now it's my turn. We're gonna do something a little bit more refined. I'm gonna use what I think is elm. It showed up in a stack of free wood that an awesome fan dropped off to us. And we're gonna do a little bit of patterning with the router and some sexy little curvature lineage and stuff. It's gonna be awesome. So let's get to the milling. So first thing I want to do is glue the C-pan together. That way it's done and I don't have to remember, because we all know I took a few hits to the head and I would definitely most likely forget. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to go over to Miss Piggy and do a little CNC magic. If you haven't met Miss Piggy yet, you're in for a treat. So this is Miss Piggy. She's a new addition to the shop. Be nice to her. She's extremely weight conscious and doesn't like being told how chubby she is, but we love her anyway. Super stoked. If you guys checked out the Winchester project, you got a little sneak preview. This is our new 10x6 Avid CNC. We finally got a spiral board system down, so should be seeing in a lot more content. If you got a problem with CNC, go watch someone else's content, because I don't care what your feelings are towards it. We think it increases the productivity and the creativity, and we love it. Super stoked to have it in the shop. So we're gonna cut a template out here for the side of my stool, and then that way we can get to gluing and joining up the stool parts and then making this thing happen. So let's go. All right, kiddos, so what I'm doing now is trying to figure out what the hell these angles are, because we all know I'm not bright. I'm gonna use the pattern and just essentially kind of like lay things out and kind of go from there. If I need to, I'll go pull up my SketchUp file and measure, but that would be irresponsible. Ask-ons don't measure. All right, so I'm a jackass. I've got one side's upright marked out, right? And go to do the second one. Weirdly enough, significantly shorter. Why, you might ask? I know you just said, John, why? Because I cut it in half already, like a nutsack. So thank goodness I've got milling machines here. I'm gonna mill up another piece real quick, so I'll be right back. By the way, thank you, Jet, for sponsoring this build, because these milling machines make my life so much easier. If you're wondering why I did that, we've got this little nub right here on the arch would have been all vertical grain, which inherently creates a weak spot, and then the joint would have been hanging out. So all of this in here would have been unsupported vertical grain, which my fat ass would have definitely have broken. So we cut it, so now I can join our piece here, and we'll have that integral tenon that goes into the vertical grain here, and it'll be a lot stronger. You're welcome. So the main reason I'm tracing it out is because I've done it a few times where I've done some template stuff like this. You kind of just mush it together. You don't think about it. You're like, oh, I'm cutting it all off later. And then you go to route the template and you run right through your domino. It exposes it, looks like dog shit. So I want to make sure they're inside of where all of the parts are going to be, because I could easily just like jam one here and make it look like the dog poop. So now we're going to make some marks and put in some dominoes. And if you don't like dominoes, you know where to shove that. All right, we got the parts are out of clamps, and gloriously enough, they did not explode. Always a good sign. So, oh, that's holding some, it's a little bit stronger than I was anticipating, which is great. Probably an testament to pre-cutting this. Gonna get the other one out of clamps, and then we're going to rough bandsaw the template out, get this thing shaped and get this thing put together. Let's go. All right, kiddos, got a little void here. I want to stabilize it. We're gonna use some 15-minute epoxy here, so that way it doesn't take all day. All right, let's get a little macaruski going. You guys know I love mocking shit up. I love making a mockery. I like mock trials. If you guys are wondering, the building techniques and this kind of style, I'm stealing from Jory Brigham, my buddy, the god of furniture making. A lot of domino joinery with templating, making the construction simple, the design forward kind of thing. I also got this inspiration from Sean Boyd, who I think is a phenomenal designer as well. I'm pretty sure he's Chris Salamone somehow too now, but yeah, I'll link to that. This is looking good. We're gonna get, like I said, mark these out, and then I think I'm gonna throw a hard chamfer around the whole thing, and that'll do it. So we're out of clamps, and I'm not gonna lie, I think it looks pretty sexy. I'm liking it. I think it needs a little refinement. I do think we're gonna need the heavy chamfer. The heavy chamfer I think is gonna do it. So I'm gonna sand this thing up, get it nice and smooth, give it one last, peeperoo, and see if we wanna do it. I'm feeling the chamfer though. In my experience with furniture, you never know until you have that thing like ready for finish, if it needs that one more element. So, good to see you. In the words of my grandfather, let us spray. All right, so this video was pretty awesome. We got to introduce Jordan to the team. Hope you guys like him. If you don't, leave your most harassing comments down below. You guys know Sam, you can do the same to him, but both of them did a great job. Let me know which one of these you like the most and which one you would like to replicate. And if you want to see another 3 ways video, got it queued up for you right here.